I suggest you to buy these two ISO connectors so that you can extend these wires that come with the ISO connectors so that they can be connected to the loudspeaker wires, and we extend these wires so that you can connect them, the black one to the ashtray ground, the red one to the permanent supply in the radio, and the yellow one, the accessories. I will tell you where to connect it in a few moments. Here you can see the antenna connector, already the reverse, the rear camera video. You see here that the rear camera video, it has, as I will show you next, not only the RCA, but the RCA of the rear camera video comes also with a red wire that must be connected precisely to this back orange wire that you see here, because in the other end of the rear camera cable, we also have the red wire that will be connected to the rear light, to the back light, so that when we go back, this red wire that is connected to this orange back receives 12 volts, and it signals the unit that it must display the image coming in RCA. Now, this is the ISO connector, the speakers on the left side and the power on the right side. This is the part that is connected to the joying connector, and on the back you see the wires that are in the plugs that I bought and I extended down to here. So this is the upper unit, just below the air vents, and this is where your radio was. And here we can see the cables that were extended, these cables that were extended, and you can see here some labels that I wrote here: rear right, front right, so that I can know where to connect these cables. With your radio, you can see easily which are the rear right, rear left, front right, front left. So it's very easy to make those connections down to here. Now, once we have these identified, we can connect them here. Where you see these isolating tape, it's because I'm just cut here on the bottom. You see the plug of the old radio that continues to exist. For, as I mentioned, I want to keep system signals, so this old radio continues powered and providing the system signals, but I cut all the loudspeakers, and all the loudspeakers now are connected. The 4 loudspeakers are now connected to my new unit according to these labels that I've placed, and you cannot see here in this photo. What you see here is this brown wire. It is connected to the center speaker, is the one that we connected in the center speaker, as I mentioned here. So when we remove this center speaker, we connect a pair of wires, that those brown wires that we see here, and they are connected now to the front, one of the front speakers, the left or the right. By the way, to know the colors of the which wires are the front and back, so I have here, so the back right speaker is the blue and white in my car, and the back left is the gray and black and white. The front right is the yellow and green plus the purple and white. The front left is the green and blue and white. I assume that all that included white were negative polarity. Polarity is important in audio system, of course, so that the phase of all loudspeakers are in accordance. And the brown ones, as I mentioned, are the ones connected to the center speaker. Regarding the supply that needs to be connected to the other ISO connector, the red of course is the permanent supply in the ISO connector, and also in your original car it was red and gray permanent supply. Ground, I connected the black wire to the ashtray, and accessories was pretty tricky to find a good signal to use as accessories, because what accessories does, it turns on your radio when this accessories line is active. It's 12 volts, and it turns off your radio while keeping the retention memory supplied by the permanent supply when this accessory line is not powered. The video that I recommended you in the beginning, and I find very good, used the solution that I don't agree with, which was to use the lighter red signal as the accessories. I don't like that because sometimes I like to stay in the car while I'm waiting for my wife or my daughters, and I want to, without having the engine running, I want to be able to use the radio. And if you connect this accessory line to the lighter, then you only have the radio working while the engine is running, and that's not good. So I needed to try to find a better line to use as accessories, and my intuition told me that I should find that in the radio plug, of course, but it's not very easy to find because there is actually a line in the plug in the original radio that I end up using as accessories. It's a wire that is not pink, not orange. I would call it salmon color, and I connect it to the accessory lines. And why isn't it easy to identify? It's because when you turn off your car and you remove the key, you lock the car, and the radio is still working, but it's still working for a few seconds. It's like less than a minute, and then it turns off. So I find it a bit weird to exit the car and leave the radio working, but now after having this setup for a few weeks, I'm confident that it always turns off. So sometimes I confess that I stay near the car, making sure that it turns off. Other times I turn the radio off manually, and then I exit the car, because I find that more natural than exiting the car and leave the radio working. It works only for a few seconds, but anyway, it's quite strange. But it's the best solution, because this way, as soon as you unlock your car with the remote in the key, the radio is immediately on, and it keeps enabled while you use the radio, the car all the time, even if you are with the key in any position. And only when you lock the car, you exit the car, you lock the car, after a few seconds it turns off. Okay. About the microphone, I mentioned this joint unit does not bring any inbuilt microphone, so you need to connect the one that comes with the unit. It's I recommend. I like this spot, so it's easy to remove this side panel and just to fix the microphone with the clip that it brings. And you see here that I'm using the yellow and green cable as a a fish line to bring the jack of the microphone to the place where I need to connect it. Okay, the GPS antenna, of course, you just need to clean the area and use some tape on both sides, and you can glue it in place. And it will have a very good reception. No issues on that. USB ports, my solution was to create some space. So by scrapping the plastic a little bit, scrapping maybe not the right word, but just by adjusting, creating a small hole in the plastic to make space for the wires of the USB ports to come out below the ashtray. You can see the USB cables here on the top. It will allow you to use mirror link or to connect the USB pen if you want. You can see, of course, here I suppose I mentioned the radio connector and also the radio, the other side of the radio adapter that goes to the plug that used to go to your radio. Now your radio will not receive that antenna signal anymore, of course. And oh, this is about the rear camera. The rear camera, as I mentioned, besides the RCA, if you look at the cable, the black cable in reality it provides the connection for the image that is on RCA, but it also connects this red line to the other red line on the other end. And this can be used to connect on one side, on the side of the Android unit, you can connect it to the back signal, and on the other side you connect it to the light, the reverse light, so that when you shift reverse, then you have your end unit receiving 12 volts here, and it will display the signal that comes through the RCA cable. What you see here is also that I've done the pre-installation of the black cable is the rear camera. You see that shiny pair of cables. Those are the signal that comes with the output, front left, front right, that go to the subwoofer amplifier. That red signal is the amplifier signal. It's connected to the amplifier signal on the signal that when the unit is active, it will also activate the subwoofer amplifier. That's basically it. That's it. If you, I'm not sure if I was clear enough. If you have some questions, you can email me. This is my email address. This is my name,